Peep it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal.
And I'm Joel, everybody.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about villains turned heroes. And before we start, I just want to say thanks a lot for coming out here, everybody. And of course, thank you especially to those amazing members of the population who are on our Patreon and of course elsewhere who have helped us and supported us to the point where we are now in a studio. I am in the studio right now, even though it looks like I'm in a prison. I brought over Harbinger here to splash things up a bit because
Nice.
otherwise it would just be a stark gray door.
It would look like you've been officially institutionalized. It's like, where is he doing this show from?
Exactly, exactly. So now I got Harbinger's crotch over my shoulder, and I've got the door ajar to make it look like I'm free to go whenever I want. But more importantly, it's also so that I don't. I forgot to bring the hard Ethernet cable. So,
Mm.
and because I don't like to do live streams on Wi-Fi, but because there's nothing on the Wi-Fi except this right now, I'm a little bit. I'm okay with it, but I'm still leaving the door open in case I, block the signal.
You don't want to block the magical internet rays that fly from room to room, invisible to our
I
eyes.
had Ethan check the internet for us and check the signals and stuff because he used to be one of those guys, and he
Oh, no
was like,
shit.
yeah, and he was like, yeah, like the more things that you add, the more terrible the internet will be for you. And I'm like, oh,
Interesting.
cool. So I
I,
got that
uh,
to look forward to.
it's funny. I have a couple things hooked up right now that I could probably unplug. Oh well.
Yeah. So yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, I'm using a different camera today. I'm using the actual camera that we normally use
It's
when,
nice.
when we're shooting everything. So I'm just trying that out too. This is actually a dry run for me to do a live show on the channel.
I was gonna say your picture quality looks so nice now. My admittedly nice 1080p webcam looks shitty in comparison now to yours, so now I'm gonna have to
I
upgrade.
will say your camera looked really good. Your camera actually looks way better than normal. So I'm happy to say it looks like everybody's upgrading now.
It's because I have 3-point lighting. I actually have three lights in the room actually lighting me for a
You're well
change.
balanced. I didn't use any lighting. Actually, I was thinking about that when I was coming over here. I'm like, oh, I'll set up the lights and make it really nice. And then I was so wrapped up in actually getting the damn thing to work that I didn't even bother. I didn't even white balance, but it looks like it's doing okay. So,
That's good.
pardon me. But yeah, somebody said I needed to decorate, and I was like, we're literally on the low end. I'm sitting in an area you don't normally sit down in the studio, in the podcasting room. So it looks like I'm gonna have to lower all of all of the photos and images that we have here.
Yeah.
Damn
N-
it.
no one ever thinks of that when they're decorating. It's like, ah, crap, my camera's only like this.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of Joel's topics. Not by the way that I'm trying to distance myself from what Joel thought of, but
It's Joel's topic, and if it sucks, you can all blame him.
exactly, exactly. But Joel came up with this topic. I really dig it. So we're going to talk about villains turned heroes. By the way, getting Artsy with the Lobster says upgrade. Insert idiocracy quote here.
Eh. I mean,
Nice.
I can't take all the credit for this topic. You and Jason did a topic on heroes becoming villains, so I just kind of flipped that and then took credit for it.
Yeah, good idea.
I thought so.
So yeah, we're going to talk about villains turned heroes. This is just one of our usual lists. What we some of our favorites slash some of the most notable.
Yeah,
So
most definitely.
yeah, you got any thoughts on your end? Because I got a couple
Ah,
on off the top of my head that I really want to I'm looking forward to talking about. Because let me tell you something. Um, I'm really digging on Irredeemable Iron or is it Irredeemable Iron Man?
it's infamous.
Infamous Iron Man. Jesus, all these IR or
Oh, I know,
IN
right?
titles drive me crazy. But
Well, I mean, you read my mind because that's exactly where I
oh,
wanted to start
nice.
because I figured that's the most prominent one that's happening currently.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So,
let me tell you something. It's great, and having been really surprised by the I mean, Doctor Doom was the main villain of Secret War, and then right
mhm.
out of the gate, they're like, Bendis is like, yeah, and I'll keep doing Iron. Like, I thought we were going to see no Doctor Doom for a long time, especially given the fact that there seems to be a weird kind of embargo on the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But no, he's Bendis is doing some really cool stuff with him.
If
And
anything, he's more prominent than he's been for a long time. He's actually headlining a book.
agreed. Yeah, this is a Doctor Doom book, and it's actually consistently coming out. No delays, no weird, miniseries. It's just a series.
No,
Are they ending the series? Do we know?
uh, yes, they're going to be ending this one. I think it was only ever meant to be like a maxi, and then they're going to be folding the Doctor Doom stuff into the Invincible Iron Man stuff, and probably going to be bringing Tony back soon, is what they were implying. The first arc basically says, the search for Tony, the search for OG Iron Man. So they got to find his Katra and whatever.
What a mistake.
I know, it's just like, you spent all this time building Riri and Doom, and so now you're just gonna bring Tony back, which obviously he was gonna come back. Everyone who goes away comes back. But, maybe give it a couple of years or so.
Well, that's the thing. They said that he was going to come back. Like, I think immediately they were like, yeah, he's in a coma. I mean, like, the fact that he was in, like, a healing coma a la Superman was just enough for everybody to go, oh, okay, well, that doesn't matter.
Which I hate they've never quite explained, where it's like, okay, so clearly some people know he's in a coma.
Yeah.
Does the entire superhero community know that, or only, like, people who are on Carol Danvers' team seem to know that?
It's a good question. I have no idea.
Because you would figure, because like the Oath made it look like they were holding him somewhere in a shield facility, and like you would think if Pepper or if anyone else knew about that, they'd want to like mount a rescue to get his body back.
Right? Well, I don't know. Because is he a prisoner?
I mean, they had a civil war. I mean, he didn't hurt anybody that I think, but I mean, well, actually, no, they did attack the Shield building, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah, that was the only time there was a civil war.
The only time they really fought.
Yeah, was when they all fought on at the Triskelion.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like, not to be all over the place, but like, when did the Triskelion get moved over here from the Ultimate Universe?
It just did.
God damn it. By the way, Mr. Giggles from the Super Chat. Hey guys, R.I.P. Coke Zero. I hope Zero Sugar is okay. I agree.
Yeah, I can't believe that after you being the biggest Coke Zero fan that I know of. You even got the merch and the hat and everything, and now they're
thanks to
on you.
I can't, and now I understand why they were so dismissive about doing a sponsorship with us.
That has to be the reason, because they knew the wheels were already in motion that they had to change Coke Zero.
Exactly. They're like, we can't do that. We can't start new partnership deals. It's over.
It's done.
Yeah.
I feel glad knowing you have all that Coke Zero merch, because that's going to only appreciate in value now. It's going to be like people who bought all those XFL jerseys.
Yes, as nerds, we definitely view things through the filter of like collectability and value later on, justifying our hoarding nature.
Absolutely. I don't even like football or sports, but several times I've been on eBay with my finger just dancing over like an XFL jersey, and I'm just like, oh man, just to say that I have this thing from this discontinued, defunct embarrassment of a sports league.
Yeah. Really quick, getting back on track, Conrad reminded me, because he asked, like, has Magneto ever been a superhero? Has he ever changed sides? Oh boy, has he! I think
he's gone back and forth, arguably more than just about anyone.
I was debating as to whether or not to use him on the cover, but I thought that the Lex Luthor shift was so like jarring and like surprising and cool and so well received that I was like, that's gotta take the distinction of number one. But that being said,
definitely.
Magneto's been like switching sides ever since the like not the beginning. At the beginning, he was like a silly mustache twirling villain, but like up until like maybe the 70s or the 80s. They made him a good guy?
Yeah, I would say he's actually run the gambit of like every karma alignment. He's been a villain. He's been an anti-hero. He's been an anti-villain.
Yeah, that's true. And he really lends himself to that role. I mean, like, much to the point where when you introduced him in the X-Men movie in 2000... he's a good guy. Like, he's practically... He's very sympathetic. I don't want to say he's a good guy, because he obviously is a bad guy. Or at least he's painted as such. But he's really sympathetic. And you're kind of like, oh, like, his pursuits aren't really all that hard to understand. Or argue.
I want to make them like us.
Yeah.
It might kill them, but, you know.
That whole thing sucked. But just his approach was extreme. But, like, his reasons, his rationale... We're pretty solid. I mean, okay. So like, I remember when they made him a good guy, kind of, and it wasn't really much like with mind control. It was just kind of like he's like, maybe I'll try this, and he wore that awful costume, which got a little bit of
Oh,
an
yes.
acknowledgement in our last episode,
And the big ugly M.
with like a big cape. Well, he's like, he had the cape. He's like, I gotta go full superhero, put a big M on my chest, and ditch the
But
helmet.
it's what you do, right?
Yeah, you gotta put a logo that usually has a letter that's on your chest. And then in Onslaught, or rather before Onslaught, around what's it called, Fatal Attractions, Professor X wipes his mind, and he's really powerful, and he's got he's got a clean slate. Let's make him an X-Man.
Yeah, why not? And he's arguably kind of an X-Men now in Blue. He's mentoring the young team from afar. I haven't really been keeping up with Blue, but that's what Tiff told me.
Yes, I hear. I'm not reading Blue either because I'm not reading any X-Men books for a while. But like,
Neither am I. Everyone told me.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say everyone told me Astonishing was great. I bought the first issue, have not brought myself to read it yet.
That's the thing. I've heard good things about Blue, but I read Gold and Prime, and I was like, meh. So
I'm good.
I think that might be why I'm kind of like not jumping into X-Men anytime soon.
Plus, it's the fear where it's like they could just wipe this slate again in a year.
Well, that is the problem with reading comics in general. It's kind of like, it was actually a big moment for me, I think around One More Day, when I realized that like it doesn't matter if like an artist like has a vision or a direction, or if a story has been like building for a couple of years. If editorial goes no, then it's over.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's kind of like, so that threw my whole perception of comics into disarray. I was like, does anything matter anymore? Like, it's all bullshit.
You were having an existential comic crisis.
Exactly. So like, yeah, I mean, and if you're an X-Men fan, I'm sure you're feeling that shit really hard right now.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I haven't read anything since the last reboot of the line, and honestly, I think my channel's better for it because I can concentrate on more niche books.
That's a thing, man. Like, X-Men really, sometimes it performs and sometimes it don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd be frustrated being an X-Men fan right now.
Yep, most definitely. But yeah, I mean, back to Magneto as a villain turned hero. He had that really great Cullen Bunn run where he was basically like mutant Punisher, where he just went around killing all of the enemies of mutant kind, like all the anti-mutant church folks and phobes and everything else. And that was pretty cool. Then he got like a new X-Force-y type team where he was still kind of good, but kind of on the outside, and now he's mentoring this team from the background.
Yeah. I like the concept of Magneto leading an X-Men team. Obviously, it has shades of Age of Apocalypse.
Yes.
When Magneto was a hero, but I don't count it in this list because that was an alternate reality.
Yeah.
But we're kind of there. I mean, the idea being Age of Apocalypse is spawned by the assassination of Charles Xavier and Magneto being like, I gotta take up the mantle and kind of like lead these people. He's dead. Why did Magneto do that immediately?
Yeah.
By the way, Jack Ingram in the super chat says, what fictional company or organization would you want to work for? Sword, Shield, Checkmate, Shade, Cadmus, etc. Man, probably Sword.
Those all sound incredibly dangerous. Checkmate would definitely be cool because they would give me like a super awesome, super powered partner to be buddies with, and that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough call. Yeah. Oh, apropos Magneto, when Magneto had this whole like acolytes organization, there was there was a hero turned villain.
That was a good team. Yes, that's right. Technically, Gambit too is another guy who was on a villainous team before eventually becoming a hero.
Yes, Gambit was a bad guy, kind of. I always liked that concept because I mean he looks like a bad guy. He's got red eyes.
He really does. He kept many of his villainous trappings.
It's true. I think that's why people liked him so much, particularly the ladies of the comic book world.
The ultimate bad boy shit. Bad girl. Rogue was a villain too.
Rogue is, man, and she's never like when I first was introduced to Rogue, she was already awesome. She was already the best she'll ever be, and then like ever since then, they've just been tweaking her and kind of like regressing that character, making her further and further away from where she was, and making her more and more in the trappings of her villainous counterpart. To the fact that, like, when Rogue first shows up, she's got that green leotard, right?
Yep. Classic.
She's never not had it, except when she was perfect. When Rogue was just a tragic superhero who had Superman powers. That was all. She's the powerhouse. She can absorb powers. She can't. She's afraid to use them, but her other powers are like Superman of the Century. Like that's a really cool character and really really fun. And like, why not have one of your most, or actually most of your most powerful players be women?
Yeah.
It actually is funny because I was thinking about the X-Men recently, where I'm like, it is so frustrating for Marvel because so many of their strong female characters are on the X-Men. You could make
It's true.
full X teams out of the female characters.
In fact, they have.
Oh yes, they have. But I'm just like, man, that must be so frustrating because like, you could really be like if you wanna push like an agenda, or not even an agenda, throw that shit out the garbage.
That's a stupid word.
But if you want to push like, hey, we've got some really, if you want to counteract the Wonder Woman fever that the world is kind of caught up in right now thanks to this great movie, then why not want to put all on display all of these strong female characters you have? But so many of them are X-Men, they're like, but we're trying to fuck it up.
Yeah, we're trying to distance ourselves, which is the problem.
Yeah. By the way, Getting Artsy with a Lobster in the Super Chat says, Gambit, nothing says hot like a sweet head sock. That's right.
It's true.
Oh, do you mean a sock or just cut out the face?
He wears a fucking head sock. Also, while we're talking about the X-Men and the mutants, which, Jesus Christ, we basically could have done the whole show just on this. Deadpool started out as a straight out, like, Deathstroke assassin bad guy.
Absolutely.
And he's had a long journey from, like, comedic joke to just recently actually, finding out he had a daughter and building a surrogate family and becoming an Avenger and being more of a straight up good guy, to where now in Secret Empire, he's kind of going back on all of that now.
Yes.
Some bad shit has happened to him. He's betrayed a lot of the people who loved him and were his friends, but he's saying he's doing it for love. And now in Marvel Legacy, he's going back to being the despicable Deadpool. So they've reset his alignment now.
Yes, called it, by the way. But yeah,
you sure did.
I was actually rereading Deadpool's first appearances as in preparation for stuff we're doing. And I was like, man, like, I remember this Deadpool. This is the Deadpool that, like, I'm always, that, like, there's a germ of that character in the back of my head every time I read any Deadpool book. Because I'm like, isn't he a complete dick and kind of elusive and mysterious? And I'm like, no, he hasn't been that for 20 years.
Yeah, no, he hasn't.
But I like that character. I like the, like, the angry, like, sarcastic, like, not even quick-witted, but just, like, no nonsense unless it's his nonsense Deadpool. And yeah, complete, like, I wouldn't say he was a straight up villain, but he was perceived as one by any hero. Like, right. The X-Men, whenever they dealt with him, they're like, are you a bad... Like, they were kind of confused by him, too, anytime the X-Men interacted with him.
The Punisher very much in the same place as well, where it's like, I don't think we should like you. Punisher
is another one. He was a villain when he first appeared. Jerry Conway creates him in Spider-Man. He's a bad guy.
Manipulated by the Jackal.
Yes, and by the way, like, they were just like, with all of our Marvel characters, if he's a villain, we got to make him tragic. And they gave him just too solid a backstory where they're like, enough people agree with Frank that I think we should probably just give him his own book.
And they did, and the rest is history.
Yeah. By the way,
and the Punisher too.
Yes, and who?
I was going to say, and the Punisher, too, because of Secret Empire, they seem to be resetting him karmatically and be like, you got a little too superhero. You got a little close to this community. Time to take you back to the crazy loner origin.
That's the thing. With me, for me and the Punisher, and particularly, like, scaling him back, when they brought out his kind of, like, respect for Captain America.
Yeah.
I never really noticed it until they kind of, like, put it on display for in Civil War, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, I remember being like, "Why does Frank care about Captain America?"
Because he's the perfect soldier.
And like, I kind of hope that they get rid of that. Like, I hope that by the time that Secret Empire is over, it really just kind of like goes away because it's really stupid.
See, I always found something kind of endearing about that in the way where it's like, even like Hitman, like Superman.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes. Hitman and Superman.
That was what I always likened that relationship to, where it's like, in a perfect world, I could be more like you, but this isn't a perfect world we live in.
Right, exactly. So yeah, Punisher's a good character that was a villain turned into a hero. I mean, like, I think pretty much he was a villain for like maybe that arc, like that one issue story, and then they were
Never
like, okay,
again.
well, let's just use him.
Then anti-hero all over the place. Hey, here's a funny character who always goes back and forth between hero, villain, and anti-hero. Frickin' Paladin. Remember Paladin?
I do remember Paladin, and I never really got his deal.
No one did. That's why I'm always fascinated when he shows up, because I want to know his deal.
I don't. But yeah, I do remember Paladin. Did he start out as a villain? I don't even remember, honestly.
Yes.
Interesting.
Started off as like a dude trying to kill Daredevil.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, then he became like a hero for hire, and he's been on like the Thunderbolts. He's been a bunch of different places.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's right. I remember him being on the Thunderbolts and being like, Paladin? Way to dig him up.
I always thought he was perfect filler for a team. If I wrote a team, I would totally put him on it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, hey, I've got a long, interesting history, and I'm always showing up in the background to shit.
Yeah.
When are good people ask what old Paladin has to say? When's my time?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever coming, Paladin.
Nah. His last great appearance was in Defenders when they were at the night hospital, and frickin' Vengeance just puts him in the background reading a paper.
Yeah. Lost Boy in the super chat mentioned, I don't know if this counts, but the Shade from Starman, originally a Flash villain, but then anti-hero or board. Yeah, good call, man.
Yeah.
Good reach.
That's a
Grabbing the
deep
Shade.
cut. I like that.
Yeah, I always like the Shade. I like the Shade's design more than I think I like the character, but I like the idea that like he's just bored.
It's a really, really good design. Well, didn't he have that moment in what story was it where he fights Prometheus, and his deal is like, oh, you have all the greatest superheroes in your head, Prometheus, but I'm a villain.
Right. Oh, that's a good moment.
But was that Identity Crisis, or was that Cry for Justice? That was one of those.
I want to say it was Cry for Justice, but I do remember there being a cool moment of Shade in Identity Crisis, so maybe it might be that one.
I remember that sticking in my mind because I remember I didn't like that story as a whole, but I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good on the Shade.
Agreed. So, okay, the stream is being really, really crappy. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the Wi-Fi, the storm outside, the video that we're using, or if it's simply a combination of all three. But I think we should probably wrap up with like 2 or 3 more and then just kind of call it a night. I'm sorry we have to make it short, but abide a terrible stream, and we'd rather have like the best quality show possible. Like, we might as well just resume another day as opposed to just trying to force a show that isn't going to happen because of technical issues. So,
yeah, do we just want to put like a pin in this, or like you said, 2 more?
I think 2 more, and then we'll definitely do part 2, and we'll just call it part 1 and just move on from there.
There you go. I mean, we mentioned Deathstroke, so I mean, obviously, there's another guy. They turned him into a hero just recently.
Yeah, Deathstroke is he? I keep hearing. Okay, so Deathstroke is a speedster now.
Not anymore. That lasted 1 storyline.
Oh, it's over.
Oh yeah, it was already over, and that wasn't a great story.
Damn it! All right, well, fine.
In fact, Christopher Priest kind of got a little salty about it on his blog, where he's like, "Look, I didn't even want to call it the Lazarus Contract. They made me call it the Lazarus Contract."
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, a little bit. And then people were really mad at him because he made Damian, who ironic or arguably also kind of started as a bit of a villain,
yes.
Give Wally West Flash a pacemaker. And everyone got mad at him for that. And Christopher Priest is like, sorry, I didn't know Damian was a good guy now.
Dude, first of all, you can save the world at any point if you give it met.
Excellent moment.
And, man, wouldn't that have been cool? Like, wouldn't it be cool to see Superman kind of acknowledge that? Where he's just like, like, you actually did it. But, of course... Superman's
and all it took was the death of the New 52 Superman to make Lex actually kind of re-examine his life and kind of get his shit in order.
Exactly. But I want to say, like, it's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of funny because on one hand, I want Superman to acknowledge Lex Luthor's heroism, but I also want to, like, I don't want Superman to be a rube when they undo it.
That's true.
So, yeah.
And it seems like they're flirting with the idea of making him evil again because they've set everything else back in the superhero universe. It's a shame Super Lex never got a book to himself. He kept showing up and stuff. It's a shame he never actually got a book.
I agree. Well, I thought he was going to get one, or at least like I kind of got the feeling he was going to get one, but they could have easily made it Lex Luthor Man of Steel or something to that effect.
Would have read the shit out of that.
Yeah, right.
It would have been a lot like Infamous Iron Man.
And I wonder if there was plans to do a Lex Luthor book, and then they heard about Infamous Iron Man, and they were like, oh, we probably can't do that.
We don't want to flood the market. We don't want to have two similar ideas.
We don't want people to compare them. Like, let's just wait.
Although we're comparing them anyway, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, completely. So, yeah, with that in mind, I guess we'll just get back to this on another day, but I'm sorry we can't proceed as usual, but you know how it is. When we do the live stuff, you know, it's always subject to some kind of bullshit.
Tech problems.
And it's the question of, like, do we skip the day, or do we brave the storm? Because, like, I guarantee you the storm is an issue when it comes to the show right now, because it's never this inconsistent. So... with that in mind, I guess we'll wrap up. We can wrap things up with a minute or two of Q&A, and then we'll leave and come back another day. I think we'll probably just resume next week. Just
Sounds
because
good.
There's too many things to going on. Tomorrow on the Thursday, The Pull. You got to check it out because it's a great show. And also, that's going to be taking up the time when we will probably be doing a sequel to the Elseworlds Exchange episode. So just watch that. You'll get to see Tiffany and Joel just talk about comics. Which is great.
Yeah, talk about what we read this week, which there was plenty.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, we could just keep going and see how that goes. But I no, you know what? We already said we're not going to do it. Let's just wrap up here, because otherwise it's just gonna be a problem, and we don't want people leaving and coming back and then leaving and coming back. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. Tech problems out of our hands.
It's true. It's in God's hands, or the gods. Apostrophe hands, given that they control the weather and whatnot. But hey, what's going on, Joel? What's happening with you that you're excited about?
Well, I'm excited about getting artsy with a lobster who said off for a week, might take 5, the trip to the stash for some books. Aw.
Yeah, nice job getting artsy with a lobster. You should definitely, if you are going to the stash, if you're going to Red Bank, go to the stash and go to Yestercades, which is across the street, a little bit further down the block. That whole town is just really fun. There's a nice consignment store. There's Jack's Music Shop, terrific place for music. They also have comics in the back. There's the Stash. Yestercades, as I said, it's a kind of pay as you play arcade, where you just go in, you get a wristband, you play all the arcades for an hour, and you pay on an hourly rate. And that's great.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And let's see, what else is in there? Well, and you can go to Crazy's in Rumson, so get some free ice cream.
Shit. Hey! I'll be coming to the States in October. We might have to film a video at Crazy's just to show people what it's all about.
Right? It's true. Shit, that's right. Good news on Joel's behalf. You are definitely going to be going to New York Comic Con this year.
Yes, I was on pins and needles waiting to hear back from them, but I finally heard back from them yesterday. So all the American Cape Joel fans, all the Elseworlds Exchange and the Pull and all the other shit I'm on, you can come see me. You can get the gift of Joel.
Yeah, and you're going to be all over the place. It's going to be great. And you'll see Joel probably in the studio here and on some shows.
Yay. I can get the tour.
Yeah, and we're working on making some really cool shit happen for New York Comic Con. So I hope you guys come and check us out there. But with that in mind, I guess we'll wrap up here. I just was informed that apparently a couple of the Generations books came out. And
Hulk was today.
Hulk came out. Okay, I'm not going to buy it because I don't give a shit about the Hulk. So,
well, see, it's funny. Hulk has always been my favorite Avenger, but I was always kind of indifferent to Amadeus Cho. Not because of anything Amadeus Cho did. I just thought his Hulk book was so radically different from what the regular Banner or even She-Hulk Hulk books were like.
It's true. I liked She-Hulk because it was so different, but I also just don't like redundant characters.
I know you don't. That's a big issue for you.
It is. I'm like, how about you if you really, really, really are strapped for ideas for your characters, give it to somebody else.
And again, I understand what they were trying to do with it, and I can respect the idea where it's like, look, Banner is this genius man who, gives into this monstrous rage that turns him into a beast. Some of the time, sometimes they're one and the same. It's quite different. With Amadeus Cho, it's like, hey, let's take a smart kid who's got his shit together, but when he turns into the Hulk, he kind of turns into a Jersey Shore D-bag.
Woof. That sounds fun. Actually, I've seen him in. I was reading. Champions for a while, and he was in that, so I got an idea of what kind of character he was.
I like him better in Champions. Is the funny thing, which is interesting to
He's
note
not
that I like
terrible
him
in
better.
Champions. I like most of the people in Champions. I'm just kind of.
They're
like,
all really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Even if I don't read their own books, they're all really enjoyable.
Right. I agree. I had a thought and it's gone, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. But yeah, so check us out at New York Comic Con. We're definitely gonna be there all 4 days, and we'll work out a schedule for like meet and greets. It's August. We got like 3 months before that happens. So,
I know, right?
So don't worry about that. We'll get into it later. We'll do a whole New York Comic Con like prep episode when that happens.
Oh, there you go. That'll be cool.
But
we should do that. That could be an Elseworlds Exchange episode, the con prep episode.
exactly. It's just like, here we go. We're gonna do New York Comic Con. It's gonna be great.
So I'm packing socks. I need lots of socks because I go through them.
What? Oh, that's the show. Oh, that's going to be riveting.
Just me packing shit. Like, so I got my Captain America socks because it's a Comic-Con and I want those there.
Yeah. Oh, that'll intrigue him. But, all right. I guess we'll wrap up here. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, everybody. And, of course, stay tuned in the next, I'm going to say hour or so, probably a little earlier than usual, for the new back issues, which is the first episode of back issue shot on the new set.
Oh, shit.
By the way, we didn't renumber, so it's legacy numbering. We're gonna stick with what we've had and just keep going from there.
But how do you expect new people to jump on if you're not constantly making it a new number one, Sal?
I think that the way we do that is just by making consistently good content.
And, you know, with good resonant storytelling, anyone can jump on at any time and get something out of it.
Yeah.
As Stan Lee said, every comic is someone's first.
That's been our approach on this channel and with comics in general for forever. So yeah, I can't argue with that. I wish that Marvel would get back into it.
Yeah, would they actually take the dude's advice?
Yeah. But thanks a lot for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you guys next week with an all-new episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal.
I'm Joel.
So long.
Bye-bye. Take that, orange couch.